Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at Mega Kangaskhan with Joltik. This is a deck that has been sat on my limit list for I think about 4 months, and I've never really had the it's not courage, it's I've never really felt the reasoning to time it correctly to actually play this deck. But obviously with, Arven going to rotation and obviously, making this deck a lot slower, same with Nest Ball going, I figured I might as well get it done before rotation happens. So as per usual, in the description below, there's going to be usual links. Double the deck list, which is also available to copy in the description below. There's the games that we'll play, and of course the outro and what I think of the deck. So of course today we're going to be playing Mega Kangaskhan EX. Once again, it feels like I'm covering this guy a lot. He's so versatile, I obviously did the Victini Obsidian Flames and the Wheel of Pain episode where I used him as my backup attacker and also a draw engine. I've done the Kangaskhan, what was it? It was the Fortress. And obviously I've used Kang in a lot of other different decks. And now we get to use him again as a primary attacker. And also we used it for the Ace of Roller, which I think that was the Fortress build, but I don't remember. And obviously Kang does have a lot going for him. Obviously, well, her technically, because, the baby and everything. And I actually learned, because I asked it in the Wheel of Pain episode, is Kang able to be male? No, it is 100% female. I did not know that. So I hope that some of you may have learned that, because I didn't know that until recently. But obviously, Kang does have the ability to run Errand, to obviously draw 2 cards if it's in the active spot. And of course, we do have the Rapid Fire combo attack for 200 plus. And of course, flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 50 more damage for each heads. Very good attack, and if you get in the heads, pretty reliable and very strong attacker. Obviously, in this list, we're going to be using Joltik. We are playing 2 copies of this little guy to obviously charge up our Kangs and obviously our other attackers and everything like that. But I've also thrown in a copy of the Galvantula. This gives us a little bit of an easier time into some matchups, i.e., Charizard, obviously, mine is Grimmsnarl. Obviously, we have a bit of an easy time thanks to that. And to be honest, it just made sense, having an attacker that can do upwards of ridiculous amounts of damage. 180 if the opponent's active Pokemon has an ability. And this has a lightning attached, why not? And, we might as well play it. Makes complete sense. Obviously, like most of these lists, they have slipped in a couple of monkeys. This just made the most sense to me. So why not? And also thrown in 1 copy of the Cornerstone with 2 fighting energy. Now, the only thing that I have a bit of a concern of is the fact that this list relies a lot on, Switch, Jet Energy. Well, obviously my list uses Jet Energy, not all do. Switch, Air Balloon, things like that, in case we get a Bouffalant gusted. Obviously, we do have the option of Penny as well, but I feel like this list, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like this list could use a Latias, but not really thought of adding one yet, and maybe this video may prove me wrong, or may prove me correct. So let's go to the deck list and let's have a proper look. And welcome to the deck list. Here is something that I'm just going to say straight off the bat. You probably should play 4 of Jumbo Ice Cream, but I wanted to play Quad Gear. I feel like playing Quad Gear in the list with, 13 supporters, and obviously we're relying a lot on Arven to find our trolleys and stuff like that. Yeah, I just feel this is the best course of action. Obviously, we do have Kang as our primary attacker, and obviously we do have the Galvantula as well as an extra backup attacker. We also have Cornerstone. Obviously, Munkidori cannot attack in this list, because we don't play Psychic Energy, and I don't really see a reason why. And then, of course, we have the Bouffalant, which, it can technically attack. I did use this in a pre-release once, but yeah, as long as we don't run into Lucario, we should be fine. So, of course, we're playing 3 Kangs, 3 Boofs, 2 Joltiks, 1 Galvantula, 2 Munkidoris, 1 Cornerstone, and 1 Shaymin. You could put a Psyduck in this list. I didn't really see the reasoning to add one, but you could definitely add one. I'm mainly playing a Shaymin because obviously it protects our Bouffalants from things like Wellspring, and protects our Munkidoris from things like Wellspring, and obviously, Shaymin is just a good card to have anyway. But, it's one of those things, but still. Then, of course, we're playing 4 Arven, 3 Boss, just for good gusting count, 2 Pennies, 2 Lilies, 2 Crispin, 4 Pokégears, 3 Jumbo Ice Creams, 2 Switch, 2 Nest, 1 Night Stretcher, 1 Precious Trolley as our Ace Spec, 1 Earthen Vessel, 1 Super Rod, 2 Bravery Charm, 1 Air Balloon, 2 Lively Stadium, 4 Grass Energy, 4 Lightning Energy, 2 Dark Energy, 2 Fighting Energy, and of course 2 Jet Energy. We are playing 14 Energy, which you could definitely cut that down. I think you could definitely cut a Fighting, is one of the first things I would do. You don't really use the Cornerstone that much. Like, you use it for Dengo, but that's really about it. Cornerstone is one of those that, like, you know, you can obviously, you know, play it, and obviously we have triple boss, so if they do try and set up something that can counter the Cornerstone, we can potentially find that off the Pokégears. But I'll be honest, you don't really use Cornerstone that much in, like, testing and stuff. I barely use Cornerstone, but like I say, I think cutting a Fighting would probably be a more suitable thing. You could probably go up to 4 Ice Cream if you wanted to do that. But ultimately, I don't think a lot really needs to change about this list. You know, playing 4 Ice Cream would obviously be something beneficial. You could definitely, you know, swap out a boss for something, maybe a counter catcher, because obviously you're not always going to be gusting every turn, but, you know, it's just nice to have an extra way to gust. That's item based, so that way you can play an Arven, you can play a Penny, you can play Lilies, you can play a Crispin, you know, that sort of thing. Other than that, really, other than adding a potential Latias, which I think this deck might actually need, or a second Air Balloon, that would also cover it. Not really a lot that needs to change about this list. So, let's get into some games and see how we do. And welcome to our first game. We're already paired against someone in Teal Mask or Ogerpon rank. This just, again, is proving the matchmaker is not in the best of moods. I mean, it is just before 11 on a Tuesday, and, you know, some people are going to be at work, but even then, it's like, why are we pairing against someone who's like 300 rank above me? That doesn't really make sense. But to be fair, I rarely, like, bum rush the ladder anyway. It's not something I really focus on. But, you know, it's like, I'm not really fussed, but, you know, it's one of those that, like, you know, you think about it and you think the matchmaking's just clearly not on our side today, but it's not that big of a deal, I'll be honest. So we're starting at Joltik, that's fine. Obviously, we are going second, so that does give us value. And there's a Hoot Hoot start, so it's going to be a Terra deck. That's fine. Obviously, we do have the Arven for Turbo... Oh, not Turbo Energize. I'm so used to playing Kang with Turbo Energize. Arven for Precious Trolley plus a Bravery Charm, which will be really nice. But let's see what we're up against. They're playing Pokepad, which is interesting. Not many Terra decks are playing that right now, which could indicate this is a post-rotation build. It's a Eevee box. Okay, this could be interesting. This could be very interesting, I will say. I'm not worried, because, like, you know, these sorts of decks aren't too scary. It's mainly, obviously, you know, they play Black Belt, they can obviously play, you know, Leafeon, which Leafeon would really mess us up, so we need to be careful. Is now either really thinking about their actions, or they're just preparing for their next turn, and it looks like that's going to be the case. They're going to Ultra Ball, get rid of a boss and an Ultra Ball, grab a Wellspring, so they think they're facing like a Joltik box deck. They're going to threaten the Wellspring already, plus the Psychic, so that indicates, potentially anyway, that they are playing some, well, they're playing Thingamabob, what's it called? So we'll go Precious Trolley, grab 2 Boofs, a Kang. Do I want to grab double Kang? Probably, because then I thin more out the deck. Well, then again, I'm thinning out the deck anyway. Cornerstone's not good in this matchup, so I'm just going to grab Kang, or double Kang, double Boof, and a Monkey. I think that's what I grab here. Then we do that. We attach the Dark to the Joltik. And Jolting Charge. We have prized 2 Lightning Energy, which is a bit concerning. But we can live with that. We've also prized a Grass. That's the only problem with playing 14 Energy. You do run the risk of prizing a lot of energy, and it seems we have. I've not really prize checked, but, you know, one of those things. But obviously the Wellspring is a threat to us. I probably could have put down the Lively Stadium, but, like, they're not really doing a lot. They're taking a long time with their, like, actions. Like, it took them a long time to decide to do that Ultra Ball for, you know, for the Wellspring and then obviously attach. So I'm not really worried. Like, if they do go for, you know, the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon, I'm not worried in the slightest. And they've already made a slight misplay. They shouldn't really be evolving the active, because obviously that means they can't, you know... Well, they do play Jet, I think, in some of these lists, but again, that would assume they, you know, have the... Well, they'd have to have Hilda or, like, Chorus's Tenacity or something. If you are playing a Terra deck, you should never evolve the active Hoot Hoot. You should always evolve the bench one, because then you still have access to Latias to get this into the active. But, you know, that's just how some people play their deck, you know. They don't realise these minor things could actually matter. And they're going to grab 2 supporters, interestingly enough. But even then, unless you have Crystal in hand, you're not attacking with this Wellspring this turn unless you sob. So yeah, they're not really thinking about their actions all that much. But even then, if they sob and I manage to find a Crispin, we can take out that Wellspring with Kang and go from there. But yeah, now they're just slow playing. They have no reason to be taking this long with their actions, but they're continuing to do so. But that, unfortunately, is something that the ladder will never be penalised for. I don't think they'll ever add a report function, but still, let's see what they do. If they do go for the Wellspring, it's fine. They're grabbing a Fire Energy as well. Do they have Switch in hand, maybe? Could that be why they are powering up the Wellspring now? But even then, that just feels kind of rough, because I could boss and potentially take 2 prizes here, and take out their only attacker. They have energy on board right now. They're going to knock Towel again after slow playing even more. And they're going to grab Switch, because I know these decks do play it, but that's assuming he hadn't prized it. But again, there's no reason to be taking nearly 2 minutes for this action. And there's the Air Balloon and the Crispin. They're going to grab another supporter, so they can get the Wellspring off this turn, but that's completely fine with me. I don't really care, to be brutally honest. Because that does take all of their energy out of play. And if I knock this out of Kang, they have nothing else. Yes, they can go into, you know, Eevee and stuff like that. And there's a Sylveon. So we need to be careful of Sylveon in this matchup. But again, I'm not worried. This is not a matchup where I'm worried. It's one of those that, like, we have the bulk of the Kang. We have the bulk of, you know, the other pieces in the deck. It's not that big of a deal. And if they try and go for a Bouffalant, they won't be able to kill it because of the Bouffalant's Curly Wall ability. So let's see what they do. Do they take out Monkey here? Because if they don't, okay, they do take out the Monkey. That's fine. That is completely fine. I'll promote the Kang. That took them unnecessarily long amount of time. But unfortunately, it seems we're playing a player who abuses the fact that there is no report function. So let's go for a Pokégear. We do get the Crispin, which will be nice. So Night Stretcher back that Dark Energy, because I don't need the Monkey, because I have one in hand now. I don't need to bench the Monkey. I'm just going to Crispin. So that way we just thin the deck even more. I'm going to attach to this Kang. I'm going to attach one of these Darks to this Kang. We can run around as well, now that we've thinned the deck a little bit more. That's fine. And yeah, we'll just go for the rapid fire combo. We don't get it, unfortunately, but they are going to need a lot to get this Angelite going, which is a good thing. And if they don't actually take out our Kang in a single hit, we can Monkey knock this out, so I'm fine with that. But they're probably going to take a few minutes, so if this video, like if this match in particular is cut in certain sections, like you may see cards that have appeared and stuff like that, it's because they're slow playing and continue to do so. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. But I would have liked a heads there to take 2 prizes, but I'm not too worried. I'm not going to bench Monkey because that is an extra target. There's Crispin, so that's their support for turn. That's completely fine with me. Psychic. What else are they going to grab? Which will probably go on the Sylveon, I'll be honest, but we can live with it. It is going on the Sylveon. Okay, that's fine. There's an energy attachment. That's also fine. Because, yeah, they're just going to pass. Okay, that's fine. If we can gust this will be really good for us. We cannot. In fact, no, we don't play counter catcher, so that's fine. I can at least thin and then run errand. There's a boss. Excellent. We can boss the Sylveon. So I want to get a hit on this now, because that way we can at least, you know, do stuff. And in case they try anything funny, I'm going to put down the Lively Stadium, which will obviously heal the Wellspring, but obviously we can Munkidori and stuff like that. I'm hoping to take out this Sylveon this turn, so I need double heads from you, Kang. Come on. Give me double heads. No, that's fine. It's only bad if they obviously have Gust to obviously, you know, shuffle back both our Kangs, which could be, that could be bad for us. But hopefully, it doesn't work out that way. Hopefully, anyway. Because if they want to, you know, bounce the stadium, that's fine. They could also Magical Charge, that doesn't make a difference, because I still knock this out regardless. There's Lilies, so no gusting, so that's good for us. That does mean that Angelite has less value now, because they specifically need water, which they do find. But now they can only Angelite, shuffle back the Kang or the Bouffalant, or both Boufs. And then there's nothing they can really do about it. If they Magical Charm, we just bench Munkidori, attach Dark, set this up so if they bounce the stadium, and they're going to go for Angelite. That's fine. That is completely fine. I'm not worried about this in the slightest. That is completely fine. You've spent all this time taking the mic, and I immediately top deck a Bouffalant, which is nice. So yeah, we're just going to run errand, draw 2 cards. Double Jet is nice. And they just concede. You took all that mic just to do that. No idea how to play Eevee Box, do you, man? Like, come on. But clearly, some opponents just like to take the mic, and, well, luckily we was able to capitalize on that. And the fact that they had to use Lilies for turn and not, you know, boss to obviously shuffle back both our Kangs, that was really beneficial. And obviously with us, you know, setting up the Lively Stadium as well, they would have been plinking at those Kangs for a while. Let's go to game 2. And the best part about that match is, well, I actually got my last daily done, and also I changed my catchphrase in case anyone didn't catch that. I thought it was funny to, you know, change it up after a bit, because obviously we've used the peer pressure one for a while now. But no, that first match, apart from the fact that the guy was slow playing to Kingdom Come, that went pretty well. They're already out what 2 Kangs was Angelite, and obviously they didn't have the Gust to do it. So I was not worried at all, and, you know, it was one of those things, like, we could have taken out that Sylveon regardless. And the fact that we top-decked into a Kang is, well, not a Kang, a Bouffalant, you know, that was really beneficial for us. And we do start a Kang. Excellent. Obviously, we will want to find, you know, Arven and things like that. We're facing Team Rockets. Okay, that could be interesting. Very interesting. Because Munkidori is going to have some good value in this matchup, because obviously they do use things like, you know, Team Rocket's Mimikyu, they do use a lot of, you know, 50 HP spiders and things like that. But this could be tough. This could definitely be tough. We need to be, well, careful in this matchup is all I'll say. So we'll take the Mully. There's Galvantula. Would that be useful in this matchup? Maybe. Maybe it'll be useful. But we do need to establish, you know, the cards that, like, we do need to establish thingamabobs in this matchup. That doesn't bother us. We're not bothered by the Articuno in any way, shape, or form. There's Team Rocket's Factory. There's Transceiver, so they can grab the Proton. So that's fine. Can live with that. They're going to grab a Proton. They didn't prize check. That's fine. We're only going to prize check if, obviously, you know, we get the Arven off that Pokégear. Oh, that's better. So they're Proton for 3 spiders. That's fine. That is completely fine with me, because we could attach a Charm to this Kang this turn. They're going to bench 1 spider, they're going to bench 2 spiders, and then I imagine they're going to bench the 3rd. Team Rocket's Factory for 2. No, they're not going to bench the 3rd immediately, but they should. They've got no energy in the discard, which is good for us. There's the 3rd spider. So that's also good. Obviously, we want to Joltik this first turn if we can. So let's see what we get. There's a Fighting Energy, so let's run errand first to thin the deck. There's Arven. It does mean we... In fact, no, we can't we can't immediately go with the Jolting Charge. We can set it up for next turn, though, which is fine. So we're going to go for the Trolley. So that we're going to need Cornerstone in this matchup. This is where Cornerstone's actually going to provide his use. And I think I'll just grab Double Monkey. I'll be brutally honest. I don't need a second Kang, I don't think. So let's do that. I'm happy with that. So we'll go Charm on the Cornerstone, Charm to the Kang. I'll attach... Do I want to attach the active? I mean, it's fine if I get Crispin. Because the reason why I'm not going with the Joltik here is because we don't really have a reason to. Because if I get Crispin, I can still attack with Kang, and I can obviously set up Cornerstone. I'm not really worried. And I also just remembered I said I was going to price check if we got the Arven, but it's fine. I can do that on the next Arven, I guess. We don't really need to worry about prizing too much. It's literally just if we prize, you know, Kang plus, you know, well, if we prize the second fighting energy. But I'm not too worried. This matchup's fine for us as long as we can, you know, pick up this Kang and just park Cornerstone in front of him. Because they don't have an answer. Like, they can play the new Team Rocket's Kangaskhan, but let's be real, how many lists are actually playing that? Because there is the new Team Rocket's Kangaskhan in this. Dark Energy, that's interesting. I've not seen one of those on a Mewtwo before. Could that be Team Rocket's Sneasel then? Is what I'm thinking. Because that's the only one I'd really think of. And there's just a pass, and that is fine. So we're just going to go for the Pokégear. We do get a Crispin, that's fine. I'm going to row in first before I use the Crispin. So there's the Crispin. So we'll go Dark Lightning. Dark to hand, so I can put it on a Monkey later. Lightning to the Kang. Another Lightning to the Kang. And Rapid Fire combo. Let's see if we get double heads. One. Just the one, that's fine. If they do hit us, we still can take it out with a Monkey. Completely fine. I can live with that. I can most definitely live with that. Because if they don't find a charm of their own, we can just go, and if they hit into the Kang, we could just go attach the Monkey, take this out with Dark Energy. I'm fine with that. If they're just going to Rachel Ball for 160, again, don't really care because we just Kang it. And Kang will then be healed out of range of Mewtwo at full power, so that'll be even better. Because at the minute, they're only doing 100 damage, which is fine by me. This is a tough matchup for them, though, if I can get that Cornerstone established. But we did have the second fighting in there, so that's also fine. And even then, I could just Penny. It's not a big deal. Giovanni, okay. They're going to use the Giovanni, that's completely fine. What are they going to do, though? Because Giovanni doesn't really benefit them here. They're going to go into the Tarantula, interestingly enough. Did they attach that Team Rocket's energy for turn? I swear they did. They did. They're going to bring up a Boof to try and stall me. That's okay, we could just boss this. I'm not really bothered. But then again, realistically, I don't really want to boss. I'd rather just take out one of their spiders, because then I could go, you know, Spider, Mewtwo, Mewtwo, Spider for game. I'm not really fussed, you know? I don't need to take out this Mewtwo now. And they're just going to pass. That's fine. I could even Penny this Bouffalant, but I'd rather save that for later. So let's just go for the switch, into the Kang. Pokégear. We can thin that at the very least. Pokégear again. We do get a Crispin. Excellent. But no energy in there. That's fine. We'll run Aaron for 2. We do get the Lively Stadium, which is nice. So that's good. You know what? I am going to boss that Mewtwo. Because I can. Why not? Do I want to attach this here? I think we're just going to attach it to the Monkey. I'm just going to rapid fire combo and take out a Mewtwo. This does give them more HP, but they're highly likely going to bounce it with, you know, Team Rocket's Factory. And that would have been nice earlier, Kang, but it's fine. I'll let you off, mate, because, you know, Kang's a really good Pokemon. Like, the Mega Kang is really good, and I do like Mega Kangaskhan's design. The fact that they got the little baby involved, so, you know. This does mean our monkeys have less value, but again, they will highly likely bounce the stadium, so again, I'm not really worried. we can Crispin next turn, get that second fighting out, and thin one of the lightnings. So that's at least something. But let's see what they do. They're just going to Lillies, which is interesting because they have nothing but Team Rocket's Pokemon. But, I mean, to be fair, having a Lillies as a backup is nothing to sneeze at. You know, extra draw and all that jazz. They're going to evolve into a Spider. That's fine. That is completely fine with me. So they can get that Dark Energy out, which I said earlier. And then obviously attach with Manual to the active Spidops. But it will only be doing 120 damage if they can get another Pokemon down. Well, Team Rocket's Pokemon. But that is fine. I can live with that. But yeah, this has gone pretty well so far for this deck. I mean, like, we had a slow player with, you know, the Sylveon box, but, you know, we've been able to set up pretty well. We can obviously Penny this Kang if it gets too damaged. So I'm not really worried in the slightest, let's put it that way. And if they even go for, you know, the bounce of the stadium and they attack into this Kangaskhan, we can double Monkey and take out one of their Spiders if they do bounce the stadium. So I am not worried about that matchup at all. And like I said, we have the Cornerstone if we need to. And they're just going to pass. Perfect. That's what I like to see. So let's go for a Crispin. We'll grab that Fighting Energy and that Dark Energy. Doesn't really matter what order I do it, as long as I put a Fighting on that Cornerstone for later. I'm going to attach the Monkey. I'll run over for 2 now that we've finned with Crispin. That's completely fine. And yeah, we'll just take the Spider. Rapid fire combo. That's fine. We do a flat 200 anyway. Down goes the Spider. One less Spider to worry about. And Chef Husky, I am not sorry for using a Cornerstone in this matchup. It's in the deck for a reason. I know you're probably watching this one, mate. I do apologise for using a Cornerstone in this matchup. But let's be real. Why would I not? It's in the deck list for a reason. So I do apologise if you're watching this video. And yeah, I'm kind of using it. I'm not like using it to attack now because I don't really have a reason to. But no, I'm fine with this. You know, like they're not really doing a lot. The fact that they've seen a Cornerstone and they've not got an answer to it, like they're not playing new Kang, is fine. So again, I'm not really worried. It's one of those things, you know. I can obviously, you know, Pokégear, try and find more energy. Well, I can find more energy off of Kang. So I'm not really worried about that. Booth. This feels so bad for my opponent. It genuinely does. I feel bad for them because obviously this is a horrible matchup anyway. But when you've got the Cornerpon, they can't really do a lot. There's the Mewtwo coming down again. That's completely fine. They're not really doing a lot, so I'm not really worried. Like, the Lively Stadium is technically helping them here. But if they bounce the Stadium and I get double heads on this, they just, you know, they just lose. So, yeah, this isn't looking good for my opponent. I think that'll be the end of their turn, and yes it is. Excellent. There's a Lightning. We will attach that to the Cornerstone. Let's run over for 2. I don't need to Pokégear this turn. But I will anyway, just see if we can get a boss, which we don't. That's fine. We do draw into another energy to power up the Cornerstone, though. I can thin a card with the Arven. I'll probably thin the Jumbo Ice Cream, just so I have it. And, yeah, rapid fire combo. Take out the Articuno. The Articuno is not a threat to us in this matchup, so we don't need to worry about it. Down it goes. Unless he plays on Water Energy, in which case Dark Frost is technically an attack, I guess. And there's a grass set of prizes. Excellent. More energies, the better. But yeah, even if he gusts a Bouffalant to like try and stall us, we have Penny in hand, so you know, I'm not worried in the slightest. We have double Penny. We have the draws with Kang. You know, we do have Jet Energies in this list for a reason. I am not concerned in the slightest. I might even put Cornerstone in front of him, penny this up, just to annoy him even more. That's evil, but funny. So I might just do that. And heck, I could even start powering up this Galvantula if I want to. So, you know, there is opportunity there. So there's an Ariana being drawn. They're probably going to draw 3 off of it, unless they can thin that hand out a little bit more. No, just a 3. That is fine. That is completely fine. We can live with that. I don't think they want to bump this, I'll be honest. There's a Grass Energy finally, so they can finally attack with Rocket Rush, but it's only doing 60. Which I am going to use right back at you. I don't even want to use a Jumbo Ice Cream to heal it. I'm just going to double Monkey, put it on the Tarantula, and go from there. I can even put it on the Mewtwo and make it so that I only need 1 head, so I'll probably do that instead. There's another Spidops. That's fine. They're not really doing a lot. They've only played 1 Giovanni. They've played 3 Ariana and our Lilies, so again, not worried. Yeah, I'm just going to double Monkey to this. And then if we even find boss, I'm just going to do that instead. Just boss the Mewtwo for game if I get heads. But yeah, this is not looking good for my opponent. And there's the 60 damage back to me, and we draw for turn. Well, there's a Jet, so that's everything covered there. So I'm going to Adrenabrain, put it on the Mewtwo. I'll Adrenabrain again, put it on the Mewtwo. Do I want a Penny up the corners just so I can go to Cornerstone? You know what? Why not? We might as well. Because, you know, I want to be horrible. I don't need to bench. I will bench the Joltik because it could be an extra attacker for us. Do I want to charm anything? Not particularly. I mean, I could charm this and make it a bit harder for him to KO it, but I don't really care. And we'll just go for the Demolish for 140. And take out the little fella there. Completely fine. And there's a boss for game as well. Excellent. Unless they have Archer, and also a Cornerstone answer, we just win. I didn't have to promote the Cornerstone. Well, Cornerstone's just going to be sitting pretty, and I want him to actually do something, so yeah. Might as well use it. You know, it's in the list for a reason. But yeah, they don't seem to be playing a Team Rocket's Kangaskhan, so again, they don't really have an answer to Cornerstone. And all my board is single prizes, which, yeah. Charging up. So they get the Grass Energy. Most likely anyway. I'd be a bit worried if they grab the Dark, but, you know, they could play E-Switch. But yeah, there's nothing they can do here. They can't harm this Cornerstone. They can Gust, take out Joltik or something, but again, unless they actually get, you know, an attack off with the Mewtwo and, you know, hand disrupt me or whatever. There's the energy switch, so they can attack with the Spider. But again, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I have boss for game. Unless they hand disrupt with an Archer, yeah, there's nothing they can do. They can't harm this Cornerstone. I think they've started to slow play because of that. There's Transceiver. What am I going to Transceiver for? Probably an Archer, because obviously I'm on 1 prize card. All I need is boss for game. They're going to grab a Giovanni, interestingly enough. Which, I wonder what they're going to do with that, because that's not really useful for you, but okay. They're going to Giovanni. But what are they going to Giovanni into? Probably the Bouffalant. But even then, you'd have to energy switch to the Mewtwo. But, I mean, we have game anyway, so they can, as long as they like, I don't really care, because, you know, the Bouffalant is, you know, we can just jet energy up the Cornerstone. So, I, again, don't really care. I think they've kind of worked out that, you know, this matchup is just unwinnable for them. And they're going to bring up a Monkey. Sure, that's fine. I will use the Jet Energy to do it, because why not? And I think, yeah, there's not really a lot they can do. They're going to double attach Team Rocket's Mewtwo Energy, or Team Rocket's Energy in general. They're going to take out a Monkey, but then I can just come up with a Cornerstone. Boss the Spidops with the energy. They're not even going to do that, so alright, let's just show the Jet Energy into the Cornerstone, show the boss for the Spidops, and there we go. That is game. Nice and easy. Bit of a long one, but well, they started to slow play towards the end because they clearly didn't have a Cornerstone answer, and well, the 60 measly damage they did was sent right back at them. I'm going to leave it there because I'm already getting grey hairs from how long those matches were, but obviously they will be shortened down for your pleasure or viewing pleasure, because trust me, that made me feel a bit older. But yeah, so what do I think to the deck? You know what, I actually like this variant. This is a really spicy variant. We didn't get to use the Galvantula or the Joltik in the second game, but as you can see, even without that, the list just doesn't care. You know, you're such a big, bulky Pokemon. If you have Lively Stadium plus Charm plus the Bouffalant, you're effectively 440 HP. Kang just doesn't care how long you take, you know, as long as you're, you know, getting attacks off eventually, it's fine. Fair enough, against, you know, fighting weak matchups, it's going to be something that, you know, you're going to have to just cope, I'm afraid. We don't play a Psychic attacker. There is definitely room for one. But yeah, I definitely think cutting down to 1 fighting energy is a good way to just, you know, add another card that could be consistency. I will say, thanks to the double switch and the double jet, I don't think we need a Latias in this video, well, in this deck, so that's at least something. You know, I've been proven wrong in that regard. But I'll be brutally honest, this deck felt really fun to play, and if you want to give it a try, it's in the deck list, or in the description below. In terms of changes, because obviously it does lose Arven, I would probably just say go quad Lilies, go quad, maybe even quad, when they get no lose research. To be honest, if you're going to play this build in particular, getting energy onto the board is the most important thing. So as long as you can Lilies and find your, you know, then again, you could just play 4 Kang, because then you have a higher chance of, you know, starting the Kang, which I think would be better. So, you know, post-rotation, this Mega Kang Joltik deck could just play, you know, it could play, as I said, quad Kang, so then you have a high chance to start with a Kang, stick with the quad gears, cut the second fight in for the 4th Ice Cream, and I think other than that, this build felt pretty dang good. But anyway, I'm going to leave it all to it for today. I really hope you enjoyed seeing Mega Kangaskhan with the Joltik package, and I'll see you next time.